Hey, hi there. I'll look at you in the the camera tonight. I'll try to. My hair is a little cleaner today, so it's Mountain Man number 3 or 9 or hairdo. I used to joke about the hairdos. Oh, I was gonna say this too at one point. This is the third attempt to do this. Uh, I forgot to say in the last one, the Chinese can't afford to do that though. Is where this is going. Just it's intellectual. It's nothing political. Nothing is intended political. Don't write it. Read it into it. It's medical model of the schizophrenia illness that I have to live with. Obviously after that incident with the nicotine rack in my brain where I was like incoherent, man. I mean, that was some. And then the nicotine. The only difference was the nicotine was added back, and it cleared me up until I'm fine today now. So I know what I'm talking about. Just because I don't have a doctor's degree or some shit that registers to their brains, there's some kind of gods or something. Some of them, but so anyways, let them contemplate this too, the clinicians, because this is true. I wondered this over a period of time. I don't know, a couple times a year. Maybe cross my mind, and I think about it for a moment because the way the illness is diagnosed today than when I had it or was bad with it was is different. They don't call it paranoid schizophrenia; they call it schizophrenia manifest as paranoid type. Okay, so there's a difference in the logic and wording there, but why the need for changes so often, I don't know. It is what it is, but you got to have medication. I was in favor of drug dart guns as like medication for crazy people on the loose in town like I was. Stopped twice. I'm terribly sorry about that, Barnesville and the United States and CIA and all the other people who were involved, Secret Service, and there were others too, and they were glad to see me take my medication. So I'm still taking it. It's 28 years later now, past that. So, but anyway, what I was going to say was, so at one point, this crossed my mind, and I researched this 6 or 8 months ago, and it's actually true that in China, okay, well, see, the thing about it is worldwide, schizophrenia occurs anywhere in the world in slightly less than 1% of the population. Okay, that's just a given that there's 1 in 100 chance if you're born you'll be schizophrenic. Okay, that's just the way it works out. The numbers, there's statistical analysis and all that psychobabble they do. They do math in that too, keep track of statistics and stuff. But so I don't know what that was. I mean, but just so. But what I found out was how in China they would like to do this, but they don't have the money in their economy to do this. Unfortunately, this program they have for schizophrenics, and I don't know other mentally ill. I didn't go that deep into it. I limit my searches to schizophrenia related because that's what I live with. That's where my interest is, understanding how to live with it better, which I'm not the average schizophrenic. To celebrate 28 years since you've been in the hospital just a few months ago. So that those all are anniversaries of my own, instead of your normal wedding anniversary and your normal lives you all have. I mean, normalized lives, cohesion with society or human race or something, and I'm here in my compartment. Oh, I don't know what's wrong with this picture, man. I mean, it's like I'm all alone here, and it's 24/7, and unless the aides here or a friend happens to stop in. But so anyway, China, what they did, what they want to do to help schizophrenics is when they get them stabilized on medication, obviously, and I don't look into their kind of medication or what they use, but it has to be modern day antipsychotics if they're going to work. So, they want to put schizophrenics up in housing, give them social supports, because they recognize it's a social disease where you don't make it socially in life in the society you live. You know, so they're offering. They'd like to offer. They can't afford this, but what they want to do. This is a novel idea. The Chinese thought of it. That's just the way it is. But but so they want to give like elderly and disabled people in your neighborhood assistance through other people who live in the neighborhood who could work with a card or phone they clock in and out of at your residence or whatever, like they do for aides here, and but they would be help for social mental health support, from their friends who can bill for their time spending with the friend who is sick and ill and hard to put up with and tolerate because they are, maybe, I don't know. But so they can be, but you can be. I mean, but annoying. But I don't mean to annoy anybody. I live here and I don't bother anything to the outside world more through this portal to you this way than out that door back there and into the actual world. So I go, not there, but here. Be here now. Did you ever hear that from the '60s? Be here now. Nobody knows what that means these days. Oh God, how I get so old? I remember things that nobody else does. Other people usually don't these days, younger generations, you know. And all the elder people aren't out to get you. I mean, anyways, so the Chinese want to do this where their neighbors and friends would help them socialize or get them out for somebody drives and they got a way to get out for the day or whatever. I don't know how it works there, but or would work if they would implement that. But that's what they would like to implement. Pay for the neighborhood by helping the disabled in the neighborhood and the elderly. Now, isn't that a novel, compassionate idea for a communist government? An irony, indeed. But that is absolutely true. What I found out when I looked deeply into it was the help of a smartphone and Google Assistant. I thought that was worth mentioning. Of course, this is right about the time, too. I thought it would take it not that much longer, but what else? So the Chinese can't afford to pay for that, is what I forgot to say in the last version of this. But that's what they would do, though, is the compassionate thing. How can you, contradictions, you know, they're communists, you think they're, you know, but they have this compassion for these people who are schizophrenic and they say them suffer so much when they're in the throes of their illness, not medicated whatsoever, and not on drugs. You don't need drugs when you're schizophrenic to be fucking out of your mind. I mean, you know, I mean, you just naturally are. And it is two brain chemicals that go too high in the human brain that develop schizophrenia from that. So the medication just lowers those, is all it does. As long as you keep them lowered by taking the medication, then the illness will never bother you again. It's my theory on it. I hope to live to see 86, so I mean 50 years with no relapses. So that strengthens my stability to know that I'm committed to this and to the court. I mentioned in the first video that the sun didn't come out on. That I live up to my commitment I made in the local county court. Judge Charles Knapp, I believe it was, presiding, and the higher court, county court, and when they released me, and I promised, and I'm still 28 years later, I'm still taking my medication like I promised in court I would take, because that's all I ever wanted was medication that fucking worked, and they couldn't give it to me, nothing but grief, you know, and they erased 30 years of my life. Yeah, I get pissed off. Have a nice day.